Good evening, baseball fans. How are you doing? We got a lot to talk about tonight. Max Scherzer is the talk of the town right now. He got ejected today. Was that the right move? Are you on the side of Mad Max or are you on the side of the umpires? Let me know down below in the comments. Juan Soto leading the Padres to a win today. Not a whole lot of offense, but it was just enough. We'll talk about that. We got Aaron Judge versus Shohei Ohtani, and it looks like the Yankees have just won here in the Bronx. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. We got a lot more to talk about. Let's get to it. Evening, baseball fans. How you doing? Hello. A lot of familiar faces in the chat as always. We got some members. We got Eric Caps. We got Analytical Side of Sports. We got some moderators in here. How y'all doing? Wow, interesting day today. The talk of the town, like I mentioned in the intro, Max Scherzer getting ejected today. And of course, it's one of those situations where you got one side who was for it, and you got another side that was against it, and everyone likes to argue, and everyone likes to bicker about it, and I'm going to give my thoughts about it tonight. I'm kind of in the middle when it comes to the whole thing, to be completely honest, but I'll give my take on, I lean a little in both ways, to be completely honest. So I'll break down the Max Scherzer ejection for all of you. And we got a lot else to talk about. We got the Yankees that just went final, I believe. What the heck even happened in this game? I don't know. Nothing is updating for me. Hold on. The Yankees, it looked like they just got a walk-off win. I don't know what's happening here. Game day is not helping me. It looks like Gleyber Torres maybe with the sac fly, I think. Is that how the Yankees win it? All right. But the Yankees win in the Bronx. But Aaron Judge, man, oh man, Aaron Judge, what a game for him. A home run, but also taking away a home run from Shohei Ohtani. He had another great catch later in the game as well. My goodness, Aaron Judge taking round 2 against Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani took round 1 yesterday. We're got a little to talk about with Juan Soto, not just the game today with the Padres and the Braves. Once again, the Padres offense just snoozing. Thank goodness for Juan Soto. But we actually have some comments from Juan Soto about his talks over the whole trade to San Diego, as well as the contract extension. So those are some pretty interesting comments that he made today. We're going to break those down, and we're going to go through game by game tonight. We're going to break it all down for you, and I'm going to talk some baseball tonight. But before I do get started, if you can, hit that like button for me. Everyone, I got to say it. Listen, if you can really help us out, I know when all us YouTubers say hit the like button, it really does help for the streams. It's something where it helps get us out into the algorithm. If you can really just take the time, 3 seconds, 5 seconds max, just hit that like button for us. And it's really going to help us get out into the algorithm. That way more people will be able to see it. YouTube, more than ever, really just likes that like button. I know it's annoying to say, but if you can, just hit it to help us out. Subscribe again if you are new. Hit the bell notification. That way you know I go live every single time. Share the stream as well. And don't forget about our sponsors here. We're sponsored by BetOnline, your number one source for all your sports betting needs, whether that's Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL. We got the playoffs with both of those going on as we speak. We got UFC all the time, golf, whatever it may be. Go check out BetOnline. Use the code BLEAV. You'll get a 50% welcome bonus when you use the code. If you're planning on going to a game, also check out SeatGeek. Use my code HYDE. You get $20 off on your first purchase. I know all of you are trying to go see a game, especially baseball, but we got the hockey playoffs, basketball playoffs, whatever it may be. Go check it out. Go find yourself a great deal. And we're also partners here with Prize Picks. Use my code GINGER and you'll get a 100% deposit match. If you deposit $20, they'll give you $20. That's not a bad deal if you ask me. And we are also partnered here with Sorare. Stay tuned for about halfway through the stream, and I'm going to pick my lineup for the upcoming tournament and maybe even give you guys a little tip here and there to see maybe how you can set your own lineup for any upcoming tournaments which start tomorrow. All right, everyone, let's get to it here. I think we all really just need to start with the whole Max Scherzer ejection. Like I said, that is the talk of the town. That is basically dominating the headlines when it comes to baseball. You know, coming out, especially after last night, you know, Clayton Kershaw absolutely dominating for the Dodgers last night. We did end the show before that game came to an end. I'm here on the East Coast. I got to work in the morning. I got a bedtime I got to take care of. But Kershaw looked amazing last night. And then you got Scherzer going today. Hey, whenever Max Scherzer's pitching, people are paying attention. And his day got cut short because he was ejected today. Let's go take a look here. So, as you all know, back in 2021, they really started implementing getting rid of foreign substances, sticky stuff, getting it away from the pitchers because pitchers were just striking out guys left and right. They were too dominant. And ever since we have seen the removal of those substances, we have seen more balls in play. We've seen offenses come more alive. We've just seen a more all-around game. I think it was good for Major League Baseball to get rid of all of those foreign substances. You know, the big one, you know, spider tack, you know, all that stuff. But now a lot of pitchers are really just resorting to rosin because that is allowed. However, the rules do state that while you can use rosin, you can't use too much of it. So that's where it can get a bit of a gray area because how much is too much. So, now the problem with this today is you got a lot of people going back and forth, you know, blaming the umpires trying to steal the show. You know, you got people saying, "Hey, we pay to see the players. We don't pay to see the umpires, you know, trying to steal the spotlight." However, today, I think there's arguments for both sides here. So let's just kind of break this down here. I actually just took notes on this just to make sure I had everything in order. So Scherzer, he had a routine check in the second inning, just like any other pitcher. Guys are routinely getting checked. That's just the name of the game now. But he was asked to switch his glove in the third inning because the umpire that checked him said, "Hey, you know, it's a little sticky here. We got to switch this out here." So he ended up getting a new glove, and he actually washed his hand with alcohol in front of an MLB official. So he did exactly what he needed to do, Max Scherzer, who I'm talking about. So he came out for the fourth inning, and then Phil Cuzzi, who is the chief umpire today, he ended up checking him again. They had a huddle. Scherzer was getting very animated in this. That's how Max Scherzer is. If you go back to when he was pitching against the Phillies, remember when, 2021, 2 years ago, he got extremely fired up. He was getting all animated. He threw off his belt. I thought the dude was going to take off his pants in that game. I'm not even kidding. But he was heated in that one over the whole check thing. So it was very similar to how he reacted a couple of years ago. But Phil Cuzzi ended up ejecting him because, quote, he said whatever he felt was, quote, far stickier than anything he had felt since doing the checks 2 years ago. So, like I said, Scherzer, he just completely flipped out at that point. He was yelling at him saying over and over it was just rosin and sweat, and also saying some expletives in there as well. But also the home plate umpire, Dan Bellino, who was also involved with the checks, also said that it was extremely sticky, and it was one of the stickiest he had felt in the since doing this whole thing. So they were all in agreement that whatever was going on with Scherzer and his hand, it was at another level when it came to the level of stickiness. So say what you will, but when I'm seeing umpires saying that it was the worst they had felt in the last couple of years, I'm going to take that into account a little bit, to be completely honest with you, because when you're saying words like that, I mean, that's a bold statement right there. And now, I'm not saying Scherzer was cheating by any means. I do think Scherzer was probably just using rosin. I think there was some sweat. Who knows? Probably had maybe even a little sunscreen on. You know, it's a hot day. You know, it's a sunny day out there. As you can see in the back of his neck, it's a little shiny on the back of his neck. That's probably just sweat, but there could be some sunscreen there as well. There was also at one point in the dugout, because he uses the pitch comm, which a lot of pitchers are using now for calling pitches. There was also some tape on his hand on the inside of his glove, and that's where his hand was, you know, very sticky. But so there's a possibility that maybe the residue of the tape was also maybe getting mixed in a little bit. And to be completely honest with you, I actually do think that is probably what was going on there. I think there was some residue from the tape. I think it was mixed, you know, there was the rosin, there was the sweat. I think all of it was a cocktail of just pure stickiness in the end. I think that's really what it was. I don't think Scherzer was trying to get an advantage. I don't think he was trying to do anything malicious. I don't think there was anything going on. However, I think it was just a perfect storm of just Scherzer just doing what he was doing, using rosin, maybe a little bit of that tape on there. Who knows? Maybe a little sunscreen. I don't know. But in the end, however, this is where I'm going to go in this argument. Okay. I might have some people get grumpy at me about this, and that's completely fine. This is just my opinion. Hey, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, I think the most important attribute when it comes to a player, you know, home runs are fine, strikeouts are great, ERA is very nice, velocity is awesome, right? All of those things we take into account. But the number one attribute of a player, the number one skill of a player, is being available at the end of the day. At the end of the day, when I'm looking at the final line, I'm seeing Scherzer pitch 3 innings. That's all I'm seeing. I know all of you are probably out there saying, well, he got ejected by the ump, right? I mean, it's not his fault. Listen, if there was something going on, right? If they did the check, they said he needed to fix what he was doing. Listen, it's on Scherzer at that point to make sure he's good to go. You can argue all you want. At the end of the day, he was talked to. That's a fact, right? He was talked to. He was given a warning. They said he had to switch his glove. They said he had to fix it. At the end of the day, he came back out, and he knows who he's dealing with. He knows he's dealing with Phil Cuzzy, right, who is a guy who had made 2 prior ejections before this, right? He knows who he's dealing with. At the end of the day, I'm sorry, but Scherzer, say what you will. Hey, the umpires ejected him. It wasn't fair, yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, Scherzer was talked to. He was given a warning about it. You can say it's unfair. I'm not saying it's not. I think it's a little silly when it comes to using the rosin. I think it's a little, because what is the right amount? What is the correct way to do this? Why doesn't Major League Baseball come out with something that they can use? I still think this still needs to get tweaked a little bit. I think there needs to be a little bit more clarity when it comes to this stuff. However, at the end of the day, Scherzer is out there. He's pitching. He's carrying the team, right? He's got to go. He's got to make sure that he's good to go, right? If it were me, if I was in that situation and I know that someone had talked to me, right? It said, hey, you got to switch this out. If it were me, I'm making sure I'm good, right? I will go talk to the umpire myself. Be like, hey, can you check my hands here? Make sure I'm good. I don't want to get ejected out of this game, right? That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not saying it's not fair. It sounds a little silly. At the end of the day, I mean, I remember, when this stuff, in high school and whatnot, if there was like anything weird, I remember in high school, there was one guy that was pitching and he had long hair. And I remember, there was actually something similar happened in Major League Baseball. I can't remember the guy. Maybe it was Glasnow. I can't remember, but I remember there was a picture in high school, had long hair. He was constantly running his hands through his hair. And the other coach our coach was basically saying, hey, like, is he, he's got gel or something in his hair or whatever. There's, I've seen, we've seen this, many times, but at the end of the day, if you're Scherzer and you are pitching for the day and you got your job, you know what your job is for the day, you got to make sure that you're available, right? And you got to make sure that you're following the rules, right? And if you feel like you aren't, well, then maybe I think he needs to go out there and make sure that he's good. And I understand the umpires too. There needs to, I think, to be a bit more clarity. I think this is one of those arguments where there's so many different, there's opinions that could go either way, right? I think everything needs to get figured out here. But at the end of the day, when I'm looking at the line, Scherzer pitched 3 innings. That's that. I'm a results-based guy. I understand, situations like this can happen, but I think Scherzer's been doing this a long time, and he knows what's going on with this in the last couple of years. He was the center of attention when it came to the whole sticky stuff thing. I'm sorry. I think Scherzer, at the end of the day, he could have taken the initiative. And sure, you can make the argument, too, that the umpires shouldn't be going as far as they're going. But listen, if I got my team that I'm trying to put on my back and carry to a win, I'm going to make sure I can actually go out there and pitch, right? So it is what it is. I personally just think Scherzer could have maybe done a little bit more here to make sure that he was good to go. You can always take the initiative and you can always just go make sure. But at the end of the day, too, I think there needs to be a little more clarity with the umpires as well. Now, a lot of people have been comparing this with the Domingo Germán situation. Now, there is a bit of a double standard here. Now, with the Domingo Germán situation with the Yankees, he was asked to clean off his hands because it was, quote, tacky. He went and cleaned his hands, right? But then he came back out, and the umpire said that his hand was still tacky. It had a bit of still had a bit of a tackiness to it. And then Rocco Baldelli, manager of the Twins, he actually got ejected in that game because he's thinking, all right, well, this guy, he didn't pass the test, so why is he still pitching in this game? So I can understand where Baldelli was coming from in that one. Now, here's the difference where if I'm looking at the Germán situation and the Scherzer situation, I'm looking at the 2 different quotes. Well, first off, it was 2 different umpires, right? It's not Cuzzy in here. There was a different guy with the Twins in the Yankee game. With the Germán situation, when I'm reading the description of the level of stickiness with their hands, with Germán, basically the only thing that was said was that there was just some tackiness to his hand. With Scherzer, these guys were saying this was the stickiest they had ever felt. So there's a huge difference there. Granted, there's also, it gets a little subjective at that point, but you got 2 different guys. At the end of the day, though, if you're dealing with an umpire that's made 2 ejections, like the only guy that's made the ejections over the sticky stuff or whatever, or, a possible foreign substance, I'm making sure that I'm not going to, I'm going to make sure this guy gives me the approval, right? Especially if he's shown a complete willingness to just eject players. I don't know. That's just me. That's how I would go about it. At the end of the day, I understand a pitcher has, he's got his routines. He's trying to focus on the game. He's trying to dial into just the scouting reports, and he's focusing on the lineup. He's focusing on his job. However, at the end of the day, there comes a point in time where sometimes you're going to have to adapt to a situation. And if you got a guy like Phil Cuzzy out there, and granted, I'm not saying he's in the clear either, but if it were me personally, I got to adapt to that situation, and I got to make sure I do what I got to do to make sure I am pitching for my team, especially when I'm getting paid over $40 million. Sorry, if I'm getting paid $40 million, I'm going to make sure my hands are good to go. That's just my opinion. Say what you will, I don't know, but I'm sorry. If you're getting paid $40 million, I'm going to make sure I'm on the mound. So that's just me. And I'm going to say this too. There's one more thing to add with this. here's also, I think, a bit of a difference. Max Scherzer has been one of the most difficult pitchers to deal with when it comes to the umpires, right? He is many times just been a psycho on the mound, just yelling at umps, just going crazy out there. I'm sorry, but when Scherzer is getting as animated as he was, right? I'm sorry, but umps don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with it. You know, get mad at the umps all you want, but if I got a guy who's had a reputation for just being out there and, you know, being difficult out there, like, I'm sorry. Like, I mean, you know, he's probably not going to get as much patience from an umpire compared to another player. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying Scherzer has a reputation out there. I'm not putting this all on Scherzer. And, you know, again, I think there is both sides here that can figure this out. At the end of the day, though, if I'm the player and I know the umpire out there could throw me out of the game, I'm going to make sure I'm making that umpire happy. That's just my opinion. If you want to argue with the umpire over balls and strikes, all right, maybe that's a little bit of a different thing. But when it comes to something like this with a guy that is not afraid to throw a player out, I'm going to make sure I'm not getting thrown out of that game. That's just my opinion. I don't know. If I'm wrong, whatever. I don't know. But say what you will about that. But I think there could have been something done here on both ends. Personally. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. What do I know? I'm just a potato that sits at my desk. But as for the game here, let's actually get into the game. There was actually a game played here today, and the Mets actually pulled it out here. It was a great win for the Dodgers last night. Like I said, Clayton Kershaw, he was absolutely amazing. But Jimmy Yacobonis, I think I'm saying that right, he came in relief of him. 2 2/3 innings pitched. The rest of the bullpen, they really stepped up here. Granted, David Robertson and Adam Ottavino, they had a bit of a rough time there in the last couple of innings. But in the end, the Mets did enough. Brandon Nimmo had himself an amazing game here today. He went 5 for 5 out of the leadoff spot, 2 RBIs, scored 2 runs. Kana had a couple of RBIs here today. Actually, Kana had the big hit in the 9th that actually, in the end, if you didn't have that double from Kana, Dodgers probably would have won this game, right? Because Ottavino gave up a home run in the 9th to David Peralta. So that Kana RBI, or the couple of RBIs, that was huge. Absolutely huge for insurance. And in the end, the Mets were able to hang on and get the win. Syndergaard, we're talking about Scherzer, we're talking about, the Mets here, but hey, give credit to Syndergaard here. He actually had a decent game here today. 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned. In the end, the Dodgers just couldn't get enough runs across the board here today. But that is what it is, Hey, good series overall, back and forth series, competitive series. These are 2 teams that could definitely meet in the playoffs this year. So that was a fun series to look at. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with Max Scherzer, because there could be a suspension. I'm guessing he would appeal it if it happens. I'm guessing Major League Baseball is really going to look into it. I think they need to. I think that is something they absolutely need to look into this. Like, they can't just go, take a quick look and just slap down a suspension. No, there needs to be actual discussions here, because I think this is a big moment for Major League Baseball, because they have said themselves this year they want to even crack down further and make sure that, we're not seeing, any of this stuff going on. So it is what it is, but I think they're going to have to really look into this. Jimmy Productions, how you doing? Robbie, are you excited to watch the Blue Jays versus the Braves in the World Series? I think that's actually a pretty popular pick for the World Series. I've seen people pick that one. That's definitely something that could happen. The Braves are looking fantastic. I think the Blue Jays are extremely dangerous in the American League. Very possible. Very possible. I would not be surprised at all to see a Blue Jays-Braves World Series. If we did, that'd be a really good series, man. I would love that. Bit of a throwback series as well. You got, these 2 teams, very good teams in the 90s. That'd be pretty cool to see that World Series, honestly. But next series for both of these teams, we got the Dodgers going to Chicago. That'll be a fun series. The Cubs, They've been very good to start off this year. We'll talk about the Cubs here in just a little bit. But the Mets are also going on the road, going to play the Giants. So let's move on here. Now, let's go over this Angels-Yankees game. So Gleyber Torres had the walk-off sac fly. That gave the Yankees the win. Hey, very good game here tonight. In the end, it was the Aaron Judge show in this one. Robbed a Shohei Ohtani home run. That was really cool. That's actually in the thumbnail. So that's how cool that was. Also hit himself a 2-run home run. Besides the Torres sac fly, that was the only other bit of offense for the Yankees tonight. Judge also had another great catch later in the game that helped save a run from scoring. Aaron Judge, a fantastic game here. He is awesome. But Urshela, hey, Gio Urshela coming back to Yankee Stadium in this series. He came up with a big base hit there to tie it in the 8th. And, hey, Gio Urshela this year, I mean, he had the grand slam against my Red Sox. He's having a really good year so far. I want to give a little bit of attention to Urshela here. Hitting .297 with a .328 on base. You know, I like Urshela. He's not going to be one of the top players in the game, but I just really like what he brings to the table. He's going to bring solid defense. He's going to give you some base hits. He's going to get on base a little bit. I think he's really solid. He's coming up in some big moments here for the Angels this year. Jimmy Productions, $4.99 Super Chat. How you doing? Robbie, who's your underrated AL Cy Young, AL MVP pick, NL Cy Young, and NL MVP? Man, Jimmy, you are putting me on the spot here. Man, I mean, honestly, listen, I got to look at some stats here. I was actually putting together some notes for a video today, and there are some guys that are off to some really good starts. Oh, you know who I'm actually going to say? Who this could be a really, really dark horse pick here for AL MVP. Jorge Mateo is off to an incredible start this year. Go look up Jorge Mateo's stats. He is just nasty. Could this guy end up putting together an incredible year? When it comes to underrated, Sonny Gray is off to a really good start this year. He's been pretty fun to watch. Stroman is also off to a pretty decent start with the Cubs this year. Maybe look out for him. I do like Luis Castillo, honestly. I think Luis Castillo is a guy to keep an eye out for. I think Garrett Cole is going to be the front runner for this thing. He looks like he's on another level. When it comes to AL MVP, I mean, I think the favorite is Ohtani. I think Ohtani right now is leading in Fangraph WAR with his offense and his pitching combined. I think right now you got to lean Ohtani. I mean, honestly, could Xander Bogaerts, you know, I'm not trying to be Giraffe Neck Robbie here, but could Xander Bogaerts maybe be a candidate at the end of the year? I think it's possible. I mean, Ronald Acuna Jr. is off to a great start this year. I think Matt Olson's a guy to keep an eye out for. I love me some James Outman, man. That was my Rookie of the Year pick. So you got a lot of guys out here that are off to great starts, but right now, I'm loving the start that Jorge Mateo's on, man. This guy is absolutely nuts. And you know with him, you're going to get some good defense. He's on a great start with the bat. That was one thing with him last year. The bat wasn't really there, but now it's cooking. So let's move on here. Let's go to the Padres and the Braves. And there's really not a whole lot to talk about here, ladies and gentlemen. It was a pretty tidy win for the Padres today. It was a nail biter. Nail biter. He only got the 1 run across, but give a lot of credit here to Nick Martinez today. 7 innings pitched. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 6 Ks on the day. A great start for him. A gritty start for him today. The Braves, man, this offense is no joke. So for him to hold them at bay in this one, and the Padres, again, this offense, it's thank God for Nick Martinez, because this offense today, besides the Juan Soto home run, you know, there's just nothing really going on with this Padres offense. And I'm sorry, but like, you know, if I actually go here, right, there was one sentence I read. Where is it? I don't know where I read it, but basically, it basically was saying like, oh, the Padres, you know, they're just doing what they can with this offense, waiting for Fernando Tatis Jr. to come back. I'm like, are you kidding me? Why, you're waiting on Fernando Tatis Jr. to come save the day? You got a lineup with Juan Soto, Manny Machado, and Xander Bogaerts in it. Really? You're waiting for Fernando Tatis Jr. to come save the day? These guys should be hitting bombs left and right. This offense should be just churning runs. Are you kidding me? I mean, Jake Cronenworth, very solid bat. Like, they got bats in this lineup already. Now, I'm just saying, Fernando Tatis Jr., I mean, that's definitely going to get some pressure off some of these guys. But this offense is already really good. I'm sorry. This has been a very disappointing start for the Padres this year. And this is a better team than last year, even without Fernando Tatis Jr. They didn't have Tatis last year. You all know that. I don't need to tell you that. But they're a better team than last year. I'm sorry, but the Padres, they should be better here. And you got a whole season of Juan Soto. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. But let's see how this offense does. Let's see if Tatis, when he comes back, it extends the lineup just that much more, takes some pressure off some guys. Let's see if they have a bit of a different energy when he's back in the lineup. As for the Braves, I mean, obviously not much from the Braves here, but Charlie Morton, 6 innings, 5 hits, 5 Ks. Good start for him today. But in the end, the Padres salvaging this series, getting a much-needed win. For the next series, you got the Padres going to Arizona. Arizona, they've been a fun team this year. A bad loss for the Diamondbacks today. But San Diego Diamondbacks, that's a division matchup. And for the Braves, they're actually going to be playing Houston, a rematch of the 2021 World Series. That's pretty fun, if you ask me. That'd be a great series. Braves and Astros? Oof. Sounds pretty good to me. Jimmy Productions, another super chat. $1.99. Wander Franco, Bobby Witt Jr. were my pick. Hey, I like Bobby Witt. I like Bobby Witt. He's having a decent start to the year. Could that be a guy? I think Bobby Witt Jr. at some point in his career will be a top 3 MVP finish. I definitely think there's a chance he can win one. Yeah, that guy is just an all-around talent. But before I do move on to the next series, before I recap the next one, I want to talk about Juan Soto a little bit. He actually talked with, who did he talk with? He talked with Stephanie Apstein of Sports Illustrated, and they talked about the trade to the Nationals. They talked about the extension, just kind of everything that's going on. And he goes on to say here, it seems the outfielder wasn't happy that those extension talks got leaked. I wanted to do it with the Nationals, but they just made it public. I didn't like that at all. I hated it. I told them we weren't speaking anymore because they just threw everything out there. And Soto actually went into more detail, saying that when he got traded, he says that his anxiety finally abated when he returned to Washington and got a standing ovation in Nationals Park. I really felt relieved. I could leave that in the past and focus on Cali. But there was actually one quote here. Nelson Cruz, then his teammate in Washington and now again in San Diego, had to console a tearful Soto and reminded him that he was going to a better situation. So very interesting here. Very interesting. But taking a look further, going into some more detail here, the news of him leaving nearly $500 million on the table also caused a lot of stress in his inner circle, with Soto saying it put all the fans, all the Dominicans, even my family against me. It seemingly crept into the locker room as well. A lot of teammates were like, "We respect your thinking, but that's a lot of money," he says. I'm like, guys, I'm trying to do what's best for me and what's best for my family. I mean, when you got over $400 million on the table, I think that's pretty good for your family, if you ask me. Anyway, I digress. But it's a business move at the end of the day. I mean, Soto, this is a guy that could absolutely get more than what the Nationals were offering him. And you got to go out there and perform. And you try to perform for guys that doubt you, and that's one thing I hated. Going back to the whole extension thing with Juan Soto, I understand, because this is a once-in-a-generational kind of talent. However, I don't know what's been going on with Soto here. He has not been the same Juan Soto since getting traded to the Padres. He's just, I don't know, something's been up with him. He's not off to he got the home run today, but he's not really cooking yet. It's going to take him. He's been a bit of a slow starter in the past. I think he's going to be fine eventually. But that is a lot of money he left on the table, man. 440. I forget the years. I think it might have been, 13 years, if I remember correctly. In the end, I personally, if I were to give you a bit of a prediction here, I don't think he stays with the Padres. I think he's my pick. I think he's going to end up with the Mets. I really think that. I think he will be a New York Met when all is said and done. I don't know. I just think the Padres, I feel like there should be more talks right now. Like, I feel like you should be hearing more about this. And I don't know. I just think and we've seen the Padres, they've got their eyes on Shohei Ohtani. I just don't see Juan Soto staying with the Padres. I really don't. I do think the Mets personally are going to be the team that gets him. Like, I know that's a very early prediction right now, but I think Juan Soto's a New York Met. Maybe a Dodger, possibly. I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking here. I don't know. I just don't see him staying with the Padres. The Padres, they got so much money on the books already, and they've been in the Ohtani rumors. I don't know. It's Cat. Juan Soto is a Tampa Bay Ray. Could you imagine? I mean, honestly, if the Rays move to a new stadium, right? I don't think it happens, but if they were to invest in a player, I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, could they? I don't know. I don't think they will. I don't think they will go after Soto. But if you were to build a new stadium, you want butts in the seats, you want people coming to see your games. I mean, Juan Soto, having him on your team, you're going to get people to come to the stadium. I'm just saying. Now, I don't know if they actually have all that money. I don't even know. But it would be interesting if the Rays, I would not, I don't know. I don't want to sit here and say I wouldn't be surprised, because the Rays obviously have just such a small payroll. But, hey, they went after Freddie Freeman, right? I'm just saying. Jimmy Productions, I predicted the Marlins in third place and the White Sox division winners. Twins make the playoffs. The Marlins, I think, they're good. I'm just saying, I like this Marlins team. They're off to a pretty decent start. Can they keep it going? I'm not sure, but I really like the way the Marlins are playing so far. Also, Jimmy Productions, Soto is a giant. Maybe the Nationals get him back. I think there's a chance the Giants could go after him. I think the Giants are really going to go after someone. I think they're going to be in on Ohtani. I think they'll be in on Soto. I think they're going to really go after someone. I personally think that. The Giants, I think, are due to land someone at some point. Jimmy Productions, thank you for your super chat. Super chats. You are absolutely fantastic, my friend. You are really supporting the show tonight. Really do appreciate it. Everyone, if you can, please hit that like button for me. We're trying to get to 100 likes on the stream tonight. That'll really help us get out into the algorithm. YouTube loves the like button. I hate that they like the like button so much, but hey, I'm just doing what I can over here. Here we go. Let's move on here. Moving away from Juan Soto. Let's talk about the Mariners and the Brewers. I actually want to say this because I forgot to mention this. Where's the Mariners and the Brewers? There we go. I forgot to mention this in yesterday's show. Brandon Woodruff. Going to be out for a little while. He's got some shoulder stuff going on. A subscapular strain, and he's out longer than they initially anticipated. So he actually said that if he had this injury at the All-Star break, he would probably be done for the year. So it's very likely we're not going to see Brandon Woodruff till like August, September. So that's a tough loss here for the Brewers. And also today, Garrett Mitchell going on the IL, a shoulder subluxation after a slide into third base. So the Brewers here going through some injuries. That's tough to see. So we're going to have to the depth of this team will now be tested. They're off to a great start, 14-5, sweeping the Mariners. The Brewers are looking great. I think the Brewers are really being slept on. They're really surprising me. We'll have to see how long this can go. I mean, don't want to get ahead of ourselves here. It's April, but they are looking really good. Eric Lauer today, he looked absolutely fantastic. 7 2/3 innings pitched for him today. 4 hits, 2 earned. He got the win. He looked great. J-Rod had the home run in in the early going, had a 2-run home run that made it 2-0, but a huge 7th inning was the key for the Brewers in this one. They scored 5 runs in the 7th. Luke Voigt had an RBI. Bryce Terang, he drove in 2 on a base hit that gave the Brewers the lead, and Rowdy Tellez drove in 2 more that eventually made it 5-2. The Mariners added on a run in the 9th inning, but that was not enough, and the Brewers held on for the sweep. Marco Gonzalez, 6 innings, 2 earned, 9 Ks, a great start for Gonzalez for the Mariners, but this Mariners team looking very sluggish so far. They got some good moments so far this year. Luis Castillo's looking really good, but I feel like, I don't know, the energy is not there yet. I think they'll get hot at some point, but they're looking a little sluggish so far. I do love the home run celebration with the, what is that? Like an Aquaman? What is that? What do you call those things? What is that? A trident? I don't know what those things are called. I forget what they're called, but I love that. I love all of the home run celebrations going on this year. I love that it is a thing going on in like all of these dugouts. Like the Braves had like this ridiculous hat. The Brewers got the cheese head. It is a trident. I think that's hilarious that he has a golden trident. My goodness, that is fantastic. I know there's more home run celebrations out there. I think Ohtani, they have the other hat. Like, what is that? Like the samurai hat or whatever it is. The Orioles, what do you call those? The beer thing. What do you call those things again? What is it? The beer bong? Is that what you call those things? Where you have like the beer coming through the tube or whatever? They had another one too. I forgot what it was. Trevor Plouffe said that they should add a crown, and I'm all in on it. I agree. I mean, if you're going to have a trident, you got to complete the outfit. You got to complete the outfit. I'm just saying. You got this great looking trident. I'm just saying. Jimmy Productions, Robbie, did you know that Ronald Acuna almost signed with the Nationals as an international free agent? There's an article about it, and it's good. The Nationals, that's one thing. You give them a lot of credit. The Nationals are always very much in on the international market. I think that's such a key to scouting internationally. I think is just such an underrated thing in the game, right? You got to think of like how complicated that actually is. Like you got to be traveling out there, Dominican Republic, going out to, even Cuba, like Venezuela, man, like it's crazy what these scouts do. Crazy. Conman752, talk about the Orioles game and their start so far. I appreciate that, Conman. You know what? And to honor the super chat, I will absolutely go to the Orioles game next. Oh, and you have another super chat coming in. Conman752, $2. The dong bong and the sprinklers on doubles. That's right. That's right. The Orioles are great. They're great, man. Let's go to the Orioles here. Let's go to the Orioles. Not a whole lot, honestly, to really talk about with the Orioles in this one today. They got some great pitching. Kyle Bradish, 6 innings, 5 hits allowed, 6 Ks. Adam Frazier coming in with a rare home run here today, a couple of RBIs. For the Nationals, Mackenzie Gore, he looked pretty good overall. I mean, not great, but a decent line. 6 innings, 3 hits, 7 Ks. But what really ruined his line today were the 4 walks. He actually walked in Adley Rutschman early in the game that scored a run. He was dealing with some command today. Gave up the home run to Adam Frazier in the 4th inning. That was his 2nd of the year. But I really want to give a lot of focus here. I just talked about Jorge Mateo. This guy is just off to a ridiculous start. I actually didn't even realize how good Jorge Mateo was doing because Adley Rutschman was just stealing all the headlines. And I feel like Adley Rutschman has gone a little cold. Oh, Jorge Mateo is day-to-day with right hip discomfort. So that was just announced today. I'm just seeing this. Well, that's funny. I'm looking at how good he's been, and now his hip is bugging him. Trust me, I know a thing or two about hips. I got a grandpa hip over here. But taking a look here, I mean, this is a great start. Rafael Diaz, thank you for subscribing, my friend. Really appreciate that. 15 games overall for Mateo. He's hitting .370 with a .426 on base, a .652 slugging. I mean, come on now. I mean, he's got 3 homers. How many doubles? How many extra base hits does he have? He's got 4 doubles so far, 3 homers. Guy's great. He's got 5 walks compared to 9 Ks. That's a really solid ratio so far. Jorge Mateo, this is a guy we knew when he came up. A lot of speed, fine in the field, good in the field, actually. Very good in the field. With his scouting, he wasn't looked at as an amazing fielder, but he has that speed and he has a good arm. So it's not a surprise to see how good he was defensively last year. If he can really just, the hit tool with him was graded very low, and the game power wasn't very high, but he had a decent raw power at 55. Just a very athletic player. I'm really intrigued to see what he ends up doing. Listen, I'm guilty. I was saying Carlos Correa would have been an amazing addition for the Orioles, but I guess they knew they had something here with Mateo. So they're just getting a lot of guys just contributing right now on this team. It's a fun team. They're having fun. And I just said this last night. I'm really glad that the Orioles are not taking the same route as the Tigers, right? Or they're not taking that step back like the Tigers did. That was one thing I worried about. I'm like, man, are they gonna, regress here? And a lot of people have been expecting the Orioles to have some regression, but it looks like they're proving people wrong. Even myself, I was one that said I thought the Orioles would be a slightly better team this year. I just didn't think it. I'm wondering if it will be enough to make the playoffs, but they really are looking fun. I like this lineup overall. You got a good mix of younger players, veteran guys. Honestly, I think Adam Frazier was a pretty decent addition for them. A veteran guy, and they're just getting these young guys stepping up. Mountcastle, he's just driving in runs left and right. The pitching, Grayson Rodriguez is the story for the pitching right now. But he is going to have his bumps. If the Orioles are in contention, that's the one thing with the Orioles. If they are in contention at the deadline, I wonder if they will really go after a guy, because I think they're dedicated to staying on track, right? They know they're in a rebuild still. They know they're, not quite there yet. And I just wonder if they will go all out, when it comes to the trade deadline. So either way, off to a really fun start. Unfortunately for the Nationals, they're looking like the pits of the league. So, but at least Mackenzie Gore did look pretty good today. So coming up next for the Orioles, they got the Tigers. Just talking about the Tigers. So you got the Orioles and the Tigers coming up next in Baltimore, and the Nationals will travel to Minnesota for a series there. Let's move on here. Let's go to the actually, let me backtrack. Who was I going to talk about next? I talked about the Mariners and the Brewers. Oh, speaking of Minnesota, let's talk about my Red Sox. Corey Kluber stunk tonight. Man, oh man, Corey Kluber. Right away, I was like, oh boy, this is a rough one. This is a rough one tonight. It's just one of those games where after the third inning there, they had a 7-0 lead going into the bottom of the third. I was ready to get it was just background noise. At that point, wasn't really even paying attention. Kluber got absolutely torched in this one. 5 innings, 7 earned. Gave up a couple of home runs. Edouard Julien, Gallo hit a bomb. Hey, that's pretty much all she wrote for this one. The Twins. Listen, this is a Twins team when they just start just bashing. This is a Twins offense that's scary. They got bats up and down this lineup. This is not a fun lineup to go against. When you're looking at this lineup, Kepler, he still hasn't gotten it going. Still waiting on Kepler here, but and Correa too. These guys still haven't gotten it going. Buxton's still only hitting 226. You're having guys stepping up for them. Gallo is having a good start to the year so far. Gallo is hitting 304. I mean, my goodness. Look at the start that Joey Gallo's on. Has anyone noticed this with Gallo? He's hitting 304, a 360 on base, a 1230 OPS, 4 homers, 10 RBIs. I'm just saying. Joey Gallo, I told all of you, when it comes to bounce back players, I made a video on it. Bounce back players, Joey Gallo was definitely one of them. When you put a guy like him in this in this environment, like in Minnesota, where it's not like a pressure cooker like the Bronx, this is one of those guys that just plays better away from the noise. It's just one of those things, right? And the Twins knew this too. They absolutely knew this because Gallo was not a late signing. If you remember back in the offseason, Gallo was a guy that signed very early, right? And the Twins completely jumped on him, right? They didn't wait. It wasn't, like one of those things where teams were like kind of feeling it out. The Twins jumped on him and they nabbed him, right? So I'm honestly happy for the guy. I'm really happy that the guy is just off to a good start and he's playing well. When Joey Gallo is hitting well, it's better for the game of baseball. He's just a fun player, right? He's always been that kind of a guy. But overall for this one, the Twins offense, they just exploded. The Red Sox stink in this one. And there was one bit of a note to talk about with the Red Sox. And Manuel Valdez got called up. Yu Chang got placed on the paternity list. So Emmanuel Valdez made his major league debut. If you don't know who Emmanuel Valdez is, he came over from the Astros in the Christian Vasquez trade. So Emmanuel Valdez is a decent prospect. He's got a good hit tool. He has potential to be a decent player down the road. He had a couple of errors in this one. There was one ball. Gallo hit a massive fly ball in this game. It was hit like 500 feet and it straight up into the air. And Emmanuel Valdez, he just lost track of it and he just couldn't. It dropped behind him. Verdugo is supposed to be backing him up on that play, and Verdugo wasn't there. I guess he thought he was going to catch it. Just one of those things, man. But Emmanuel Valdez, he did have a base hit in this one. So, that's not really, there's not really much to talk about with this one. So I'm not really going to stick on it. Boston will be playing Milwaukee. That's a pretty fun series overall. Excited about that. And we got Corbin Burns going in one of those games. I am not excited about that. And like I said, Minnesota will be playing Washington. Let's stay in the American League East. Let's also stick with a Central team as well. We got the Rays looking like they're just back to their winning ways. They dropped a couple there against the Blue Jays. They lost one against the Reds the first game of this series. But they have just destroyed the Reds in the last couple of games. They put up an 8 spot here today. 6 different batters in the lineup for the Rays. Had RBIs. Yandy Diaz had a home run today. Josh Lowe with 2 RBIs. Paredes, Margot, Walls was very close to hitting for the cycle. They all contributed in this one. Rasmussen had 5 shutout innings. Fleming had 3 innings pitched shutout, or scoreless, sorry. Rays, they just look good here today. What else is there to say? Just looking like a team that is, who knows where this team is going to finish. I mean, listen, the Rays, I'm not trying to discredit them. I'm really not. And don't think I am here. I need to see this team go up against some more good teams, right? They went up against the Blue Jays. They were on the road, and they lost a couple of there, right? They have had a really easy schedule. And I actually want to point this out here. I was actually looking at strength of schedule, and if you go to teamrankings.com, right, they have their own little formula when it comes to the strength of schedule. And right now, Tampa Bay is dead last by a mile. Right? While Arizona has had the hardest schedule so far. So take that for what you will. I know a lot of people were saying that in the early goings when they were on that undefeated streak to start the year, but it is true. They're not going up against great teams, and the one time, they swept my Red Sox. Hey, everyone wants to say the Red Sox are a bad team. But they went up against a really good team in Toronto, and they dropped 2 out of 3. So I don't know. I want to see what this team does against good teams, right? I want to see the Rays' schedule here. And I actually want to see what it's going to be looking like next month. I know they got a couple of tougher series here to end the month. They got the White Sox coming up next for 3, and then they have the Astros, and then the White Sox again. So it'll be interesting to see how they go for the rest of the month. And then in May, they got the Pirates. They got the Yankees. The Orioles are not going to be easy. They got the Yankees again. Then they got the Mets. Then they got the Brewers. So this is going to be a really hard month. I think May, we're going to have a good idea of what the Rays are by the end of May, because you got a lot of beef here for the Rays, right? Pirates are playing good baseball so far. The Yankees, obviously, you got them for 7 games over a 2-week span. The Orioles are always going to be tough, especially in Baltimore. You're going to New York to play the Mets. The Brewers always have good pitching. That'd be a fun matchup, Brewers and the Rays. You got the Blue Jays at home for 4. You got the Dodgers at home for 4. That's pretty fun. Dodgers and the Rays, World Series rematch from 2020. Going to Wrigley to play the Cubs for 3. So, I'm just saying, I think the Rays will have a good idea of what they are in May. So, stay tuned. Stay tuned. All right, let's get back here. Let's go to our next series. Let's stay in Florida. Let's go talk about the Marlins. Let's go talk about the Giants. And the Giants winning the finale here today. The Marlins, they have been playing great baseball. They did win the series, but in the end, the Giants win the finale. This one went to extra innings today. A huge 11th inning, 4-run 11th inning for the San Francisco Giants here. Michael Conforto, what am I saying? Mike is... I want to be saying Carl Yastrzemski, but I always get... My goodness. Mike Yastrzemski with a 2-run home run. So, yeah. Giants really exploding there in the end. And in the end, they win the finale. But Alex Cobb did have a good outing in this one for the Giants. 5 innings, 1 earned. He struck out 8. A lot of bullpen used from both teams, but they have the day off tomorrow. So that'll be very beneficial for both teams. But in the end, hey, this Marlins team, I'm enjoying the way they're playing. I'm loving what Soler is and how he's been stepping up for this Marlins team. You just got fun bats, Jazz Chisholm, right? I like this team with the Marlins. All right, De La Cruz has been stepping up. He had a hit in this one. Obviously, Luis Ariz, he's looking like Barry Bonds. Hey, I'm looking to see what the Marlins are going to be doing over the next few series because I think this is a team. Because they got good pitching. If they're in the picture for, late in the season for a wild card spot, why not? Why couldn't the Marlins win a 3rd wild card? Why not? They got good pitching. I think it's very possible they could do it. They got some bats in this lineup. Good pitching. The bullpen, could be a little better. Today they gave up 4 in the 11th. So they definitely could use an upgrade in this bullpen. But, overall, they're 10-9 so far. Off to a decent start. I think the Marlins are fun. As for the Giants, yeah, sure, they were able to win the finale here today. But, I don't think there's not a whole lot with this Giants team. I just don't see it. Sure, a couple of home runs in the 11th inning today. But, I don't know. I'm not feeling this Giants team. Sure, Cobb did good today. I don't know. I don't like this Giants team very much. I don't know. That's just me. Anyway, moving on. The Marlins, they're going to Cleveland for a set, and the Giants are playing the Mets in San Francisco. So look out for that one. Let's move on here. I just mentioned Cleveland. Let's talk about the Guardians. Let's talk about the Tigers. They had a doubleheader yesterday. The Tigers winning both of those, but Guardians bounce back here today. Get some solid pitching here from Cal Quantrill. 6 innings, 4 hits, 4 Ks for him. The difference in this game, Jose Ramirez with a 3-run home run in the 6th. And that was all the Guardians needed for today. The bullpen came through. Held on long enough, right? Detroit had a couple of runs there in the 7th and the 8th, but able to hang on. The Jose Ramirez home run was all they needed. And that was it. So the Guardians, they improved to 10-9. Tigers are 3 under 500. But hey, look at the Tigers. Hey, the Tigers, it's one of those things. They have talent on this team. I don't know. It's funny because they excited me so much after after 2021. And then last year, they really face planted. I don't know. It's just, I love Riley Green. Torkelson, I think, is going to have himself a good year. He's hitting 242, which is way better than what he was hitting last year. So, I think, did he home run? Yeah, he had a home run in this game in the 7th inning. That was one of the runs against the bullpen off of Steven. So, we'll have to see. Can the Tigers, actually, Eduardo Rodriguez yesterday, he looked fantastic. He went 8 innings, struck out 10. So that is a bright spot. Got to see if the Tigers, if they can start winning a few more series here. But the Guardians showing their resiliency, winning the finale in this one. And like I mentioned, the Guardians, they will be playing the Marlins in their next series. And I've already mentioned that the Tigers will be going to Baltimore to play the Orioles. I already talked about the Orioles and the Nationals. Let's talk about the Phillies and the White Sox. Trey Turner with a good game today. Went 3 for 5. Had a home run in the first. I got the offense going. Also had a double in this game. A couple of RBIs, stolen base. A typical Trey Turner kind of a game. This is exactly why they brought him to Philly, man. I mean, Bryce Harper will be back eventually, but without Trey Turner in this lineup, I'm just saying, man. Like, who knows what this lineup would be looking like? Sure, they still got some bats here, but Turner has been a very, very big pickup for them so far. He's been hitting really well so far to start off his career with the Phillies. And also, hey, I think I forgot to mention this. Bryce Harper has been getting some reps at first base. I think, hey, why not? If you want to get this guy in the game, why not? Harper, get some reps at first. Harper is one of those guys, I think, he can go play a few different positions. I don't see the problem with that. If you can just get his bat in the lineup, I mean, that's what they need. This Phillies offense is going to be really scary when he comes back. But the Phillies offense, very solid today, put up 5. Brandon Marsh is having a really good year. I mean, I got to give a lot of credit here to Brandon Marsh. Also, Bryson Stott. 2 young guys really stepping up in the absence of Bryce Harper. Brandon Marsh, this guy has finally arrived. Like with the Angels, I raved about him the last couple of days, but Brandon Marsh, he's looking great here. 368 to start off the year, an OPS of 1.156. He's got a few homers, 11 RBIs. This is the kind of player a lot of people expected with him. And Bryson Stott extending his hit streak to start the season. I believe it's now at 17 games, or is it at 18 now? I think it's at 18 now, actually, if my memory serves me right. But Stott, he's off to a great start, hitting 365, a 372 on base. So a lot of the times he's getting on base is from hits. OPS is looking really solid. He's got a few stolen bases. These 2 guys have been huge. Trey Turner's been huge too, but these 2 guys have been really, really stepping up for them. Castellanos is having himself a good year. I mean, good for him, man. This is a guy who had a rough time at the plate last year, but he's looking a lot better, hitting 292, 378 on base. Hasn't hit a home run yet, but honestly, I think at this point, I don't know. I don't even care. I mean, to me, if this guy is getting on base and picking up base hits and driving in runs, that's what you want, right? The power will come eventually. So it looks like him working with the hitting coach over the offseason has really done him some good. So Alec Boehm, he had a couple of strikeouts today. He went 0 for 4. But Alec Boehm hitting 324. So give a lot of credit to the youngsters on the Phillies here, stepping up in Harper's absence. As for the White Sox, Clevinger, he just didn't have it today. He just didn't have it. Clevinger has looked pretty decent so far this year, but he just had nothing against this Phillies team. The White Sox, they were able to put up a couple there in the first. If we actually go here, Trey Turner, like I said, but Andrew Vaughn had the 2-run home run. Actually, I want to check on Andrew Vaughn. How's he been doing? Vaughn, very, very solid so far. Hitting 273, 385 on base. The slugging, could be a little better. He is slugging 424. So I'm expecting a little more there. I just want Andrew Vaughn to start hitting a bit more for a little bit more power here. But overall, decent slash line. Taijuan Walker for the Phillies today looked really good. Went into the 7th inning, 5 hits, 2 earned runs. Taijuan Walker's been a decent pickup. I was kind of on the fence of what that signing was going to be like. But hey, it's looking all right so far. He basically took over for Zach Eflin in the rotation. He's looking all right. 4 starts, ERA of a 3.8. Let me actually look up Taijuan Walker on Fangraphs. How's that FIP looking? I'm guessing it's around the same. Maybe a little higher. Let's see. Oh, well, this is not updated, right? He just had his 4th start today. But coming into today, his FIP was right around the same, a 4.31 compared to a 4.20. And then after today's start, that will come down. So overall, decent pickup for them. Coming up next, the Phillies will be playing the Rockies, and the White Sox, I already mentioned it, will be going to Tampa or St. Petersburg to play the Rays. Let's talk about the Rangers and the Royals. The Rangers. My goodness. Listen, everyone, I'm just saying here, The Rangers are 12-6. This is their best start since 2013. In 2013, they went 91-72. They didn't make the playoffs that year, but they were a 90-win team. Are we going to see it again with the Texas Rangers? I'm just saying. You know what? Let me actually go back to this one website. When it comes to the Rangers, right now, their strength of schedule so far ranks 22nd, right? So they've had a slightly easy schedule. They did have the Astros there. But, you know, right now, the Rangers, they're just cooking. They got back-to-back games with 12 runs, 26 total in this series, and they're doing this without Corey Seager. Just keep that in mind, everyone. There's no Corey Seager for this Rangers team right now, and they're just bashing. Marcus Semien. This guy has been going crazy. Had a grand slam in this series. He went 3 for 5 today, 2 RBIs. Overall, Marcus Semien on the year, hitting .293, 4 homers, 18 RBIs, has an .848 OPS. Semien is really good right now. Man, Jonah Heim had a home run in this one, 3 RBIs. Leody Taveras went 3 for 5 with a triple and a double and a couple of RBIs. Ezekiel Duran drove in 3. Man, I gotta just give this Rangers team its credit. They're just bashing runs. They're pitching. Just looking like a good team right now. I'm saying, hey, don't take your eyes off this Rangers team. However, I do want to put our eyes on the Texas Rangers City Connect jerseys. I want to see what all of you think. This was a couple of days ago. Actually, I didn't talk about this yesterday. I should have. But I got to get all of your opinions. Let me know in the chat here. What do you think of these jerseys? I think they're decent. It's kind of one of those, like, I had to kind of look at it for a second. But I think they look pretty cool. All right, there's a lot of, obviously the City Connect jerseys. You're going to be obviously paying homage to your city and your background. So they, when it comes to the, what do you call it? When it comes to the inspiration, right? It says here, the mythical looking creature on the shoulder patch came to be known as the Peagle during the design process, and it represents 2 of Dallas-Fort Worth's minor league teams prior to the Rangers' arrival in 1972. The Fort Worth Panthers, I can't talk right now, the Fort Worth Panthers, who soon became the Cats, and the Dallas Eagles, right? So that's a big part of it. Let's see here. What else did they have here? So a lot of it has to do with Arlington. So a lot of it pays homage to the metropolitan areas between Dallas and Fort Worth and the Arlington Entertainment District. The Rangers wear Texas across their chest with a block T on their hats, representing the Lone Star State and the DFW area as a whole. Dallas-Fort Worth area as a whole, far more than any one city. The City Connect uniforms needed to represent that and to embody a Texas spirit that wasn't specific to just Dallas or just Fort Worth. So, goes on to say here, so the Rangers design team looked to the rich baseball history of the Metroplex, which existed long before Arlington Mayor Tom Vandergriff brought Major League Baseball to Dallas-Fort Worth in 1972. They mainly looked to a trio of minor league teams that led the way for the Rangers' own existence. So, it says here, a Gothic TX typography with a spur through it is prominently featured on the hat and jersey. This is a nod to the Dallas Eagles, right? So a lot of homage to minor league teams, a lot of homage to the area, obviously. Overall, I think they look pretty cool. You know, let me know what you think. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs down. I like that the pants are dark blue, right? I kind of like that almost, right? Because we're always seeing like gray pants, you know, like, I don't know. I like it in a way. They're not my favorite, but I think they're okay. I like the lettering. I like the TX right there, right? I love the Peagle. I think that looks pretty cool. I like it. Let me know what you think. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs down in the chat. Michael Yank, super chat, my friend. How you doing? Tatis coming back tomorrow. The lineup will be dangerous. Here's the thing. here's the thing, Michael Yanks, this lineup is already dangerous. Why have they not been scoring runs? I'm just saying, but Tatis is going to give this team some energy. Absolutely going to give this team some energy. Right. Let me read a couple of comments here. Hope Springs Eternal. How you doing? Rangers had the best manager in Bochy. I think that's been a really low-key, really good addition for the Rangers. You can talk about players all you want, but Bruce Bochy has been huge. Michael Yanks, thank you for the super chat. Again, I do appreciate that. Cammy D, Semien is batting .524 in his last 6 games. He's been on fire. On fire. Miguel Molina Jr., L jerseys, he says, is not a fan of the jerseys. I could see people going either way. I could see people liking them, not liking them. I think, you know what I like about them? I do like the font. Like, I love the letters. I love the numbers. I feel like maybe it could use a little more, you know? I feel like maybe, I don't know. I feel like pinstripes would have looked pretty good. Like some navy blue pinstripes going down. I thought that would have looked pretty cool. But I can see why maybe people think they're a little plain. But I do like the font. I do. Carlos Sanchez says meh. I mean, hey, you know, I can see the meh. I can. Like, I can see both. I'm a glass half full kind of a guy. What can I say? You know why I like this picture so much? You know why I like it? Because Nathan Eovaldi's in it. I mean, listen, whenever Nathan Eovaldi is in a picture, I'm going to like it. The guy looks fantastic. He's amazing. He's a Red Sox legend. What can I say? Nathan Eovaldi, he's the man. Michael Yanks, another $5 super chat. The Padres City Connects are better. I do like the Padres City Connect jerseys. Those are fun. You know, I got to do another rankings video on the City Connect jerseys. Because I did one a couple of years ago, but now we've had like quite a lot more getting added. So I think I got to do another video on that. Fly Eagles Fly, how you doing? My Phillies need City Connect uniforms. Those would be pretty fun. But let's move on. Jake in the chat says recap the Astros game. Jake, funny enough, that was what I had next. So you are in luck, my friend. Let's talk about the Astros and the Blue Jays. This was a pretty close game early on. I had not checked this game for a little bit, but the Astros just completely went off in the 8th inning. I had checked this game when it was 2-1, right? It was the top of the 8th. The Blue Jays, they had scored a run there, and then I did not see the Astros just going off completely. Michael Yanks, thank you again for the super chat. I appreciate it. Also, everyone, thank you for the super chats. We're getting a lot of super chats here tonight. I greatly appreciate it. Hey, whenever you guys are helping support the show, support the channel, I'm always greatly appreciative. Everyone, if you can, hit that like button for me. We're trying to get out there a little bit more into the algorithm, and YouTube likes the likes. So if you can, hit that like button for me. The goal for tonight is 100 likes. If you can help us get there, I'll be a happy boy. Let's talk about this one real quick. Astros just exploding in the 8th inning. It looks like Jeremy Pena hit a bomb. I had in my notes that Luis Garcia was pitching a beauty. 7 innings, 2 hits, 9 Ks overall. Barrios actually pitched really well. This is a pretty decent pitching matchup here. 7 innings for Barrios, 3 hits, 2 earned, 3 Ks. Obviously, Garcia getting the better line here today. But Barrios did pitch. But Pena came up big with a home run there. It looks like that came in the 8th inning. So let me actually go recap the score. Well, it got started with Jake Myers had a 2-run double in the 2nd, and the Blue Jays, Whit Merrifield, had a double to make it 2-1 in the 8th inning. But here come the Astros. Jose Abreu with a couple of RBIs there. That made it 4-1 on a base hit. Kyle Tucker with a base hit. That made it 5-1, and then Jeremy Pena with a 3-run shot. Love me some Jeremy Pena. It was all Astros late in this one. In the end, though, I really do think this is a possible American League Championship this year. I really do. I really think these two teams can meet in the playoffs. It depends on how it all shakes out, but this is like a playoff matchup to me. These two teams are so good. Good pitching, good offense. I'm just saying. You know, Astros are off to a bit of a sluggish start this year. You know, World Series hangover, that's expected, but I expect this Astros team there in the end again. You know, it's just hard to pick against the Astros at this point. Every year, everyone wants to pick against the Astros just because of the whole cheating scandal, but also kind of fatigue as well. The Astros are just so good year to year. They should be there at the end. I have them going to the World Series again this year. You know, it's funny because a lot of people started hopping on the Astros bandwagon, you know, after they won again. So I think people are just kind of like, all right, we can't pick against the Astros. So, but you know, it's every year they win. What is it now? 6 straight American League championships. So I'm just saying, man, or is this, or 5 straight? What was it again? 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, and 7. No, 6 straight. 6 straight. So will they make it again this year? I have to wait and see. But overall, good game for the Astros here. It was a good series. Overall, it was a pretty competitive series in this one. Like I said, just 2 good teams going at it. Excited to see what these 2 teams do moving forward. Up next for the Astros, already mentioned that they will be going to Atlanta. That'll be a fun series. Astros and the Braves. And then Toronto going to New York. That'll be a fun division matchup. Blue Jays and the Yankees coming up this weekend. All right. I got a few more series to talk about before we do wrap things up. But real quick, I do want to just talk about our main sponsor for tonight, and that is Sorare Fantasy Baseball. If you don't know what Sorare is, it's turning into one of my just more go-to fantasy games. I was always a card collector as a kid. I was a big Yu-Gi-Oh guy growing up. I loved Yu-Gi-Oh, man. If I get my hands on some Yu-Gi-Oh cards to this day, I will break necks and cash checks. I'm just saying, man. I actually finished 4th place in a big old tournament where I'm at in a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. That's how much of a nerd I am. But I was always into just collecting cards, you know, Pokemon cards as well. I know a lot of you in the chat had some Pokemon cards at some point, but it's the same concept here. You're collecting cards. You know, a lot of people out there collect baseball cards, but what's great about these cards is that it's actually your team, right? And you can actually join tournaments and try and win rewards. You can win more cards. You can win other rewards as well. So I'm going to set my lineup here. I'm going to do the minors tournament. So you have a team, you have a squad, and then you get to insert 1 player per position. So starting pitcher, I got to go Shane McClanahan. I can go with either Drew Smith or Kendall Graveman. I feel like Graveman just hasn't been doing a whole lot. He had 15 points against the Phillies in this series. You know what? Let me check Drew Smith. Actually, Drew Smith had a couple of good games against the Dodgers. You know what? I'm going to go Drew Smith. I haven't played him yet. I'll go with him. Torkelson's been hitting pretty well lately, but Nate Lowe has also been hitting well. You know, I'm going to go Torkelson. I feel like he's been doing a little better the last couple of games. You got to stick Trey Turner in here. Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge. Got to stick with him. Lately, the last couple of cards that I've won, we got Jake McCarthy and Jack Sawinski. So Sawinski's been hitting pretty well. He had 37 points against the Rockies in one game. I'm going to go maybe Jake McCarthy. Nah, Jake McCarthy hasn't been doing too much. There's also Nate Lowe. I could go with him too. You got Volpe. You got Yoshida. Volpe's actually been doing okay. He had actually a couple of points. I don't know. Maybe I'll go Volpe. I don't know. I think right now I got to stick with some other guys. I'll probably just stick with Nate Lowe for this spot. And for my flex spot, you know, maybe Dustin May. He didn't do great against the Mets. His last couple of starts, he hasn't done all that much. He's going up against the Cubs. I don't know. The Cubs offense is a little scary. I'll probably just go with Sawinski. I'll go with Sawinski as my flex player. So that's my lineup. So we'll see how we do. We'll check in again on Sunday, and we'll see the results. We'll see what card that I win. So stay tuned. Stay tuned, everyone. But yeah, go check out Sorare. It's a fun fantasy game. Go to the comments, or not the comments. Go to the description. I have a link there. Click on that. It's completely free to start. You can and see how you do. Enter a tournament. See if you can beat me. So click the link in the description, and you can get started. All right, back to the show. Here we go. So we're talking about Jake McCarthy. Let's go talk about the Cardinals and the Diamondbacks. And the Cardinals right now, man, oh man, This offense is looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. Tommy Edman today was a single away from the cycle. He had himself a game. He went 3 for 4, had a homer, had a triple, had a double. A great game for Tommy Edman in the leadoff spot today. My goodness, he was just the catalyst today. Wilson Contreras went 2 for 3 with a double and an RBI. Dylan Carlson, 2 for 5, had a couple of RBIs as well. Nolan Gorman actually pinch hit in this one for Taylor Motter, and he got himself a grand slam. That's not a bad pinch hit appearance if you ask me, man. Nolan Gorman, he's off to a decent start. I want to actually pull up his numbers here. Let's see what Nolan Gorman's up to. Good start. Hitting .316, 403 on base, OPS of a 1.052, 5 homers, 18 RBIs. Nolan Gorman. How many games did he play last year? Played 89. All right, so yeah, he can't do Rookie of the Year, but I was going to say, this is his rookie season so far. Man, he'd be going off. Last year, his numbers weren't great. He had a 720 OPS. That's not bad. But he's doing extremely well right now. Really well. He's actually got 9 walks compared to 16 strikeouts. That's not a bad ratio. Nolan Gorman, man, 22 years old. He's really contributing for this Cardinals team. Jake Woodford got the start for the Cardinals. 5 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned. But in the end, the Cardinals, they just blew them out today. As for the Diamondbacks, there wasn't really a whole lot going on in this one for them. Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, they each got 2 hits. Carroll had a couple of walks. That's exactly what Corbin Carroll's looking for right now, man. He needs to get that on base up a little bit. The batting average looks good, but I want a bit of a higher on base for Corbin Carroll. When it comes to RBIs, Alec Thomas drove in a couple. Pavin Smith had a home run today. But in the end, just not a whole lot going for the Diamondbacks. Getting the start was Bumgarner in this one. Listen, Diamondbacks fans, let me know. I mean, they got to do something here about Bumgarner. I don't know, man. I just think at this point, 4 starts, ERA above a 10. I mean, let's look at the FIP. Maybe there's something a little bit better with the FIP. I don't think it's going to be much better, but let's see. Well, these stats have not updated, but coming into today, his FIP, why is this going so slow? Was a 7.63. Dude, I think they got to get rid of this guy. Listen, I think he needs to go. I don't think he's helping at all. I mean, honestly, like, who do you got on the IL right now? You got Davies on the IL. He's got an oblique strain. I really do wonder, when Davies comes back, will they DFA Bumgarner? I mean, because really, are you really going to get rid of Drake Jamison? Ryan Nelson? I don't see how you could get rid of one of those guys. I think you got to DFA Bumgarner. I don't know. Am I a little crazy right now? So I mean, he's going to be out. Davies is going to be out for a little bit. Torey Lovello said he's going to be missing several weeks. It's not like Davies was really any better. You know, last year his numbers weren't amazing, but he started 27 games. He was better than Bumgarner. You know, it's I don't know, man. I don't know. I just don't think there's really a whole lot there. And what do they got down in the minor leagues right now? I mean, could you go Brandon Fad? This is one of their top prospects. How's he doing? He's gotten hit a little bit. Oh, I'm not logged in. That's why. Goodness. I'm wondering why Fangraphs is going so slow. But, you know, Brandon Fad is a guy they could call up. I feel like he probably could use a bit more seasoning. His FIPs were in the 4s in the minors, so I don't know. I think at this point, to me, I'm getting rid of Bumgarner. Or at least I'm putting him in the bullpen. It's just sad, you know, because he's only 33 years old. It's not like he's, like getting close to his like age 40 season. This is a guy that could still pitch. DeGrom is 34. So, I don't know. I think they got to cut him, personally. But coming up next, Arizona, like I said, they're going to be playing San Diego. And then St. Louis, they're going to Seattle. So, staying in the Central, staying in the West, let's talk the Pirates. The most fun team in baseball right now. They're just putting up runs left and right. They scored 33 runs in this sweep of the Rockies. They're 12-7. This Pirates team, this is their best start since 2018. That year, they didn't really do all that much. They finished with a record of 82-79. But honestly, could this Pirates team have that kind of a record again? I don't see why not. This team looks like they're playing together. They're having fun. I mean, they just busted out in a huge way. In the first 2 innings, they scored 9. They were up 9-0 after the second inning. It's crazy. They got 18 hits today. I know they're in cores. I know they're going up against some pretty bad pitching with the Rockies. But man, this Pirates team is like extremely fun right now. Man, they had that 5-run first. You had Kutch with a double, Santana with an RBI base hit. Connor Joe had an RBI double. He went 3 for 5 in this game with 3 runs scored. Jason DeLay had a 2 RBI base hit there. Kutch had a home run in the second. Rodolfo Castro. I actually want to take a look at Rodolfo Castro. Look at him. This guy homered in this one. 3-run home run in the 6th inning. Look at the numbers from Rodolfo Castro so far. It's 47 ABs, hitting .319 of .418 on base. A .929 OPS. That's really solid. Yeah, this is a guy, man, 23 years old. He's a switch hitter. He's been hitting extremely well for the Pirates so far. Johan Oviedo got the start in this one. He picked up another win. He's off to a really good start this year. He went 6 innings, 3 hits, 6 Ks. ERA is at a 2.22 to start the year. Hey, man, listen, this Pirates team, they're really fun right now. Keep your eyes on this Pirates team. Right now, they're kind of like the Orioles last year. They're like that fun team that the Orioles were last year. So, yeah, keep your eyes out for the Pirates. But coming up next, the Pirates, who do they got? Did I already say who they're playing? I can't remember. They got Cincinnati for 4. And then for the Rockies, what do the Rockies got? God, the Rockies stink. What is up with this Rockies team? They're 5-14. They stink. But they're going to Philly for 4. So I think Philly, my guess is Philly is going to take 3 out of 4 in that one. I think the Rockies will probably, I don't know, who knows? Maybe the Phillies could sweep that. So last but not least, let's talk about the Cubs. Let's talk about the A's. We're talking about runs right now. The Cubs, oof. I know they're going up against a bad team here as well. Oakland 3-16. I remember that first game of the year. I'm like, man, the A's, they beat the Angels. Could this A's team go on a crazy run? Nope. Absolutely not. The Cubs, 26 runs scored in this series, and they only allowed 3. What a great combo. Who would have thought? Good offense, good pitching. You got to love it. Patrick Wisdom is off to a heck of a start. My goodness. We're talking about Cody Bellinger lately. But hello, can we talk about Patrick Wisdom here? Like, what the heck is going on? This guy's got 8 home runs, 15 RBIs, OPS almost at 1,100. I mean, my goodness. This guy's just hitting tater tots all over the place. Look at the slugging. He's got a 754 slugging right now. What in the world is going on? Patrick Wisdom, if you can get him for Sorare, I think you need to. My goodness, this guy's going crazy. But as for the rest of the offense here, you got a lot of guys contributing. Yeah, it's even someone like Swanson didn't do too much with the bat today, but he walked 3 times. He's off to a good start with the Cubs. Let's look at him. This Cubs team is fun. Really like this Cubs team. He's hitting .333 so far with a .432 on base. Hasn't done too much when it comes to driving in runs, but he is very productive right now. But Ian Happ had a good game in this one. Man, I'm just saying, like, there's a lot going on here with the Cubs. They got bats up and down this lineup. Hosmer, he had a home run in this one today. Had a home run in the 8th. Happ had a couple of doubles. They had a big ninth inning there. Scored 5 in the ninth. Terrens had a bases clearing double. Hey, Nick Madrigal even getting in on the action. 2 RBIs on a base hit. Nick Madrigal is doing pretty decent, hitting .345. He's 10 for 29 on the year. Has a .387 on base. Gotta love it. And Justin Steele. I mean, my goodness, this guy continues to pitch well. 6 innings, 4 hits, 5 Ks. Only give up a run. This Cubs team is good. I really like this Cubs team. I think there's right now, I mean, if you're looking at the Central Division, I mean, it's kind of like not really what a lot of people thought it was going to be. I think a lot of people were picking the Cardinals to win this division this year. But right now, the Brewers are just way out in front. Okay, I wouldn't say way out in front, but they're in front. Who would have thought the Cardinals would be in 4th place right now? That's crazy. I mean, right now, you got the Brewers at 14-5. The Cubs are 11-6. The Pirates are 12-7. Oh, my goodness. No, I know the Reds, they'll fall out of it eventually, but the Reds are 7-11. Just saying. This Cubs team is fun. I really like this Cubs team. I think, listen, if the Cubs are in it, expect them to make a trade at the deadline. Expect them to go after someone. I really think like a starting pitcher for this rotation could be a really good addition. I mean, they're getting good pitching. You know, Wesneski pitched well in this series. Stroman pitched well in his last start. You know, obviously Steele today. Tyone's fine. I mean, look at this. Stroman and Steele, they're one of the best pitchers in base. They're 2 of the best pitchers in baseball right now. I'm just saying. Even Smiley has been done okay in the last couple of starts. So, Cubs are looking great. Cubs are looking great. Hey, Wolfpack 1977. Could the Cubs, if the Angels are out of it, could the Cubs make a trade for Ohtani? That'd be pretty fun. That'd be pretty fun. You know what I really want? I need Jim Bowden to come up with some trade proposals. Jim Bowden, I know you're out there. I know you're out there, Jim. You're my good buddy, Jim. I know you blocked me a little while ago because I called out how bad your trades were. But, Jim, I need you to come up with some more trades. Please, I got to make a video on it. It's pure entertainment. Jim, I know you're watching. I know you're out there. You can't hide. But Locked On Pirates is here. Let's go, Bucks. Hey, man. I'm just saying. I know you know how fun this Pirates team is. They're fun. How long will they keep it going? How long? We've just got to wait and see. Everyone, I'm out of here. I got to get to bed. It's midnight. I got to teach children in the morning. I'm tired. My goodness. I got to get some sleep. Everyone, if you can, on the way out, hit that like button for me. The goal was 100 likes. We're at 74 likes, everyone. If you can help us get to 100, I will be truly grateful. Subscribe if you are new. Hit the bell notification. Hit the share button. Get this stream out there for people that weren't able to see it live. But everyone, I'm out of here. Go have yourself a good rest of your night. If you can, what would be really helpful? If you can leave a comment on the stream as well. Not in the chat, but on the video itself after it's published. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think of today's show. But yeah, that's all I got, everyone. Thanks for watching tonight. As always, I do greatly appreciate you stopping by. But as always, I'll talk to you next time.